Hey everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. My name is Nisse and today we are building for the dingo. And according to Planet Zoo, the dingoes are not a tropical animal, but we will talk about that later. And yeah, if you want to learn more about them or simply see how I built this habitat along with the waterfall in the background, then please keep watching. Okay guys, and as some of you may know, in Backyard Zoo, the last zoo I built for, I wanted this beautiful Australian area, which I think Australia or Oceania is a part of the world that are quick to forget in Planet Zoo. One being because it is limited which animals is in Planet Zoo, and another is of course because simply that I think a lot of zoos in the real world also forget about Oceania. So I wanted to build that habitat specifically there, and I did plan to use the dingo in there, but I accidentally used the doll instead because I swapped them thinking that the doll were the Australian one. It isn't. It is the dingo that is the Australian one, just to clarify. So I kind of wanted to fix that. And also when I noticed that Planet Zoo doesn't list the dingo as a tropical animal, I got a little upset, to be honest. So we also gonna talk about that. Which I actually think I already mentioned, but as you know, I have a hard time stop talking, basically. Like, I'm good at a lot of things. Stop talking, not one of them. Another thing we're gonna do today is, as you can see here, I'm already doing it. We are building the second of 3 waterfalls we're gonna have here in Tzula Zoo. Though I guess you could say that this is multiple waterfalls and not just one, but we will have 3 places overall from the mountain ring where the water will come down, and this is the second one. We will also have one a little bit later. This one I thought it could be fun to actually, instead of placing it in the middle of a habitat, using it to split up a habitat. Though the doll do swim, so I wanted this extra fins in here. Of course, they are carnivores, and I'm not sure what's coming next of the animals, but I would make sure that they didn't jump over there and eat their next door neighbor. The dingo is, of course, the Australian wild dog, which is its second name. And it does make sense since it is actually called in Latin Canis dingo, which Canis is of course the genus used for wolves, and I think foxes also are in here. Golden wolf, Ethiopian wolf, Eurasian wolf, grey wolf, Arctic wolf, all of the wolves are in here. And the coyote, of course, not to forget that one. Remember, in the animal world, you only share your genus, your part of your name, with the closest relative. You also have the family, which is the Canidae in this case, which a lot of species, again, coyote, wolf, dingo, and so on. But here we also have the red fox, the raccoon dog, Arctic fox, Finnic fox, of course, more raccoons, and so on. So in here we have a lot of more animals that are dog-like, but not necessarily dogs. And zooming out a little bit further, we have the suborder, which is the step in between family and order. And not all animals have a suborder, but these have, which is Caniformia, and it's not the family since it was Canidae we just mentioned. So here Caniformia is the suborder, which again, same animals, but here we also have a lot of the bears, both panda and like more bear, like brown bear, polar bear, and so on. We also have the wolverines and the red panther, badgers, and many more. And just to take it a little further, we have the order called Carnivora, which is the order of carnivores. meat eaters. It doesn't hold a lot of omnivores, animals that eat both plants and meat, but there is a few, such as for instance the red panda and the giant panda. Looking at all of this, I think most people, if you look at the Latin name or its second name, again, Canis Dingo or Australian wild dog, people would kind of know what to picture in their mind. But saying dingo, if I didn't know what it was, it could be a iguana, it could be a kind of suborder of a kangaroo, it could, subspecies of a kangaroo. It could be a lot of things. Personally, I think Australian wild dog put it really clearly that it's a wild kind of dog from Australia. It is on the bit of the thinner side. Again, they don't need this big fluffy fur, and a lot of canines in the wild aren't as well fed as a lot of private pet dogs. I do think I can say that much without offending anyone. They have this gorgeous color that varies from a tan to a darker orange, usually lighter on the belly side, underside of the chin, and down the inside of the legs, feet, and the tip of the tail. The color on the back can also vary to more red color, and sometimes they will have these different color variation through the hairs because they have like undercoat, main coat, and then these longer strands of hairs, and these longer strands of hair can also be very dark. It is, for instance, something we can see on a German Shepherd, just to have so you can get an idea of what I mean. Keeping in mind that in this case the fur is shorter. The dingo lives in Australia, again, Australian wild dog, but more specifically in New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria, and Western Australia. So it's a big chunk of Australia, but not all of it. They do live in scrubland, forest, anthropogenic biome, suburban, urban, agricultural, wetlands, and mountainous areas. So I chose to go for the mountains in the back, then the forest, and then a little bit of the scrublands slash wetlands in the front. They live in both the temperate and tropical climate zones, and neither of them are listed as biomes in Planet Zoo. One thing is that they don't talk about climate zones at all in the game, but and put them in with the biomes, for instance, again, temperate and tropical or climate zones. They gather them in there, but none of them are listed for the dingo, which I find a little frustrating, and it actually gave me a lot of issues by finding this, because I was searching for just tropical animals in Planet Zoo and it didn't come up because of that. Dingoes have two different ways of choosing to live, and it is interesting where most animals have like, this is how they live. That's not a question, it's just how they live. Dingoes, actually, some of them chose to go outside the norm. The norm would be to live in these social packs with 3 to about 12 individuals, with one mating dominant pair, and the rest of them as betas. However, some dingoes do choose to have solitary lives, which is a choice by some. Some don't get the choice, some get kicked out of the pack, so it's kind of, you have no one, so you don't get the choice. But some of them will basically choose to just leave that pack and make it on their own. It can be, of course, a little bit harder to hunt when you are on your own, but the upside is when you hunt, you get the food for yourself, where in a pack you can help hunting, which isn't that hard to hunt then because you're the pack. But if you are low in hierarchy, then you may not get to eat before everyone else, and there may not be anything left. So again, it is something you can choose, but again, it comes with both risk and rewards on both sides. In some wolf packs, you only have the one bitch. You have multiple males, but you have one bitch, and the bitch can choose the male. This will help with conflict, since she is the one who basically is the sole alpha, and then she just allows a mate to share her space, basically. With dingoes, their group have both genders. They can be equal, they can have just one male, just one female. It can be very fluidly, depending on offspring and so on. Therefore, it's not naturally given who is the alpha and who's not. Therefore, they will need to figure that out, and it can happen very, very easily with scent marking and howls and have a standoff and who go give up first. If you're lucky, you can do it that way. Most likely, it will help end with someone either getting badly hurt or even killed. Another kind of weird things about dingoes is where most pack animals or flock animals will choose a bigger territory if the group grows bigger, so there's space for everyone. Dingoes do not do that. They will choose their territory based on two factors. One is like how the land is, how easy is it to get around, is it harder to get around, then you won't have energy to move as far around if it's, for instance, very, very rocky mountainous areas. On the other hand, you also need to have food for everyone, so it's not about actually having space, but more like sufficient prey, and in some areas there's lots of prey, and some there are less. So that also affects the size of habitat these dingoes will choose. Again, I say choose. Well, if they run into other dingoes or bear, maybe they may have some issues. But besides that, they will try to choose at least. Like we see with other animals, they are mostly active early morning at sunrise and late night at sundown, depending on the year, of course, but around suns up and down. And it's not because they like to, but it's basically there when their prey is most active and therefore easiest to get to. That's the thing. When you need to hunt your own food, you need to get up in the morning. That's the basic rule. You can ask any hunter out there, unless it's one of those that only get out there to drink, which I kind of understand, but then please leave the gun at home when you're out to drink. Of course, dingoes are carnivores, but they are also scavengers, which means that if they come by something that's already dead, it can be self-dead for like sickness or something like that. It can be killed by something else. There's a few reasons why you would find that. They don't let a meal go to waste, they will eat it. On the other side, they are also opportunistic feeders, which again come into contact with being a scavenger. Is it there? Well, then we eat it. But it can also be in general, like you are not gonna walk and walk and walk and walk to find the food you want. If you find something living, breathing, whatever that looks like meat, then you're gonna eat it because you just eat what is available. And if you don't know what I mean, then think about what do you eat when you are drunk at 3 a.m. on a Friday night. You are not going out for a gourmet restaurant, you are going to eat whatever is there. And for the dingo, this includes everything from water buffalo to insects. Now keep in mind that a water buffalo are easier to take down if it's already dead or if you are in a pack. A lone dingo probably won't be able to do that and won't have the need to either. One big issue for the dingo is basically that they do live in these agricultural biomes, if you're not aware, agricultural means places that are used for aggregation, which is basically farming. Farming areas. You can have livestock on it, you can have crops on it, you can have machinery for farms on it. And basically they don't want the dingo to run around and eating their animals, nor want them around to scare away anything, or basically not having them around your farm because you have kids. There's a lot of reason why you don't want them in those areas, so they are hunted heavily around those places. A lot of farms also have dogs that either interbreed with the dingoes by, well, not on accident per se, but you know what I mean. It's not intended for us humans, or by us humans that they should interbreed. And furthermore, they also can share a lot of disease that maybe the domesticated dog is vaccinated for, but if it come into contact with the dingoes, it can and will kill them. And it doesn't even need to be in farming areas, because they do also live in urban areas. And is that because they move into the city? No, it's because the city moves out where the dingoes live, and they can't figure out that they have new neighbors they need to live nicely around, or figure out to move themselves. So again, a lot of issues here between the human population and the animal, which we have seen time and time again. And we can also take it a little bit further, since we are humans after all. And that is simply that their meat are sold many places in Asia, since they are a important protein for a lot of indigenous people in these areas. And in Indonesia and in the Pacific Islands, I think it's the islands between mainland Asia and Australia, the canines of this beautiful canine are sold as jewelry or other kinds of decorations. And now I would love to tell you if the beautiful dingo is thriving, and I simply cannot. They are not yet evaluated according to the IUCN Red List. Not evaluated can either mean that they don't have the data to evaluate it. It can mean that the IUCN simply haven't gotten around to evaluate it yet, or it can mean that it's evaluated like some of the lions are grouped in together, so you can't find them on their own, but they are listed with another. However, I couldn't find something that would be logical to group the dingo in with, so I assume it's because they just haven't looked at the numbers yet, and I actually can't find the number currently on any site that I trust, so I need to leave it there. Okay guys, that's all I got for you today, and I really hope you enjoyed it. As always guys, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye guys!